Hey, what is up everyone? It's been a while since we've done a ranking video, and with our 10th adventure finally completing a few weeks ago, I think it's a perfect time to finally rank every adventure in Sea of Thieves. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Close to a year ago we had our first adventure come out with Shrouded Islands, and now we've had 10 adventures come out over the course of 2022. And they've varied in quality and just general enjoyment for myself. But let's go ahead and get into it with our number 10 spot, and this is actually the most recent adventure, the Rogue Legacy. So honestly, this one I really didn't like a lot. I thought some of the stuff you're supposed to do was very convoluted trying to figure it out. And if you watched that stream, you know, literally the chat just got me through the whole thing. So I'm very appreciative to y'all that were in there helping us out, because I was pretty much lost. And honestly, even if I did understand everything that we were supposed to do, I just found it kind of boring, just hopping in between different islands, trying to dig up something and then bring it back to the plunder outpost. Just thought it was kind of lame. And I never found the storyline with like Briggsy and stuff from the Tall Tales that interesting. I thought like her mask looked pretty cool, but other than that I didn't really have too much of an interest in her story, so to return to that for the adventure was just nothing that I was very interested in. But next at number 9, we're actually jumping all the way to the beginning with Shrouded Islands. Now, if you remember when Shrouded Islands came out, I actually talked about how I thought it was just a bit too long and how it was kind of dumb how it had you jump all across the map. So most of the gameplay time that you're spending was just sailing and not actually doing anything really. That's been something that's kept happening through some of the other adventures, but I feel like Shrouded Islands was one of the worst ones for this. In terms of gameplay though, I thought Shrouded Islands was better than the Rogue Legacy, whereas like we're fighting the Soul Flame Captain, I think it was, and we got to meet Belle. This was the first like introduction of Belle outside of the trailer, so there was certain things about this that made it a lot better to me than the Rogue Legacy. Moving on to number 8, the Forsaken Hunter. I feel like the Forsaken Hunter is similar to Shrouded Islands and the Rogue Legacy in terms of like it's not heavily focused on gameplay and more just like a storyline introduction to whatever that story arc is gonna be. But I feel like with the Forsaken Hunter it was a lot more interesting. I really enjoyed seeing like the different visions and hearing like the ghost talk and stuff. And I also really liked the ending of that, where you see the portal appear at the Sea Dogs Tavern and we get the reveal of who killed Merrick. And I think all of that was really interesting. Next at number 7, the gameplay is a bit more interesting with this one, and this is the Herald of the Flame adventure. So this one follows Stitcher Jim going and doing like the ritual of the flame. Basically, this was leading up to Flameheart's return that came later on. And this, I think this story was a lot more interesting than we saw with like Briggsy or even with Merrick, because Flameheart's just such a big character in the Sea of Thieves storyline that anything really involving him is going to be more interesting. The Herald of the Flame though, while I didn't like how far we had to sail throughout the Devil's Roar, the fact that they made the Devil's Roar kind of dormant where there wasn't a lot of volcanic activity going on and stuff, that really helped me enjoy it a bit more, because that's kind of one of the things that held me away from the Devil's Roar. And then also I think the visions were cool, being able to walk around and you see Pendragon, talking to Pendragon. One thing that I do have to criticize about it though, which I did talk about in my review of that adventure, is just like some things that should have had voice dialogue just didn't, and it just felt very off. It kind of felt like the adventure was rushed to get out, so that was my only complaint really with it. But the ending is pretty cool, where you have the Ashen Winds fight. And for those of you who watched the channel for a while now, you know I really don't like the Ashen Winds fight. But this one being a bit different, where you had Pendragon there, we had to defend him. And you have the Ashen Lord, which is actually Stitcher Jim, who had just turned into an Ashen Lord. I thought it was really cool. Next at number 6, we have the Shrouded Deep. Now this one, I had a little bit of trouble placing it, because while I think it was way too long to enjoy, I think this adventure specifically was one that proved the case that they need to have checkpoints for the adventure, because this one required you to go to different parts of that map. I think it was like the north, south, east, and west parts of the map in order to defeat different Megalodons and then summon the Shrouded Ghost. There's many issues with this adventure. First is that it takes so long because you have to do each of those. So each Megalodon to defeat took about half an hour, from like you have to go to Belle's place in the middle of the map, sail out to the spot where you have to go fight the Megalodon, sail back over the thing, go to the next one. So each of them about 30 minutes. So that brings you to 2 hours into the adventure. Then you get to the final part where you need 5 people to summon the Shrouded Ghost. That's kind of BS. For one, like when I was playing, I think it was me and 2 other people, which meant we needed 2 other people that we didn't know to join us in summoning the Shrouded Ghost. And I think that just caused us problems of getting the adventure done. Luckily we were able to find someone, but it took us about half an hour to find them. And I don't know, it just wasn't that enjoyable to me. But why I put this up at number 6 instead of really low is because it's similar to the whole thing with the Herald of the Flame, where the Shrouded Ghost is such a big part of like the Sea of Thieves, like lore and everything. It was really exciting to see the Shrouded Ghost, and I actually found the battle that you have at the end there a lot of fun. And it was extra fun having the other people there too, so I get why they wanted to have it as a collaborative thing, but it was really annoying having to take extra time just to find someone to just summon the Shrouded Ghost. But I really did like that end battle. I thought it was both challenging and just really enjoyable fighting the Shrouded Ghost, and you have all the ghost ships and all sorts of stuff going on with it. I also liked how it really tied in well the Legend of the Veil Voyage that was coming out after this adventure. Next at number 5 we have Forts of the Forgotten. This was the second adventure we got into the game, and it was also the first adventure of Season 6. So this tied in really heavily with the new sea forts that we got. I think my only complaint was I think this would have made more sense if this came out the same day that Season 6 launched, because it's kind of talking about how like the forts got summoned into the thing, which by the point when this adventure came out I think it was like a week later or something. Not a big deal, but just something to keep in mind. This one was kind of cool. Basically you went to 3 different sea forts and you just had to defeat them and you got a little thing from it. And I think there was an extra boss that we had to fight there in order to get a key to unlock the room where the prisoners were. And we freed them and you could talk to them and all that kind of stuff. All that was really good. I think my only real complaint with that adventure was that I kept seeing the same prisoners pop up at different sea forts. Whereas I would have liked them to have just each sea fort only had a specific NPC, because one of the deeds was that you had to unlock basically all the different NPCs from Golden Sands, and if you have multiple popping up at different places, you can't really do that. So that was one of the adventures that I didn't fully 100% complete, just because I got annoyed by seeing the same people pop up at different places. Alright, so the last 4 adventures that we have to talk about are the ones that I think I really enjoyed a lot. Well, everything else we've just talked about I thought was either okay or not great. These next 4 are ones I really did enjoy a lot when doing it. So at number 4 we had our first community choice event, and this was Lost Sands. And this one pit the Reapers versus, I guess, everyone else in a battle for Golden Sands Outpost. So I think this was a really cool event. My only real issue with it was I felt like it was a bit unfair how they did certain things. One of the cool additions they had for this adventure, and it was like a limited time item, was the Soul Flame gunpowder keg rowboats or whatever, where it was basically like a keg on the back of a rowboat, and that's what you used to sail up to Golden Sands and try to blow it up. That was really cool, but it was really fun for like outside gameplay mechanics. I remember using it a few times to go up to someone's ship with the rowboat keg and then just blowing it up on the back of their ship, and that was really exciting and fun. The only problem with that was every time you did it outside of Golden Sands, it benefited the good guys and actually was a negative against the Reapers. And this ended up leading to the good guys winning and Golden Sands being saved. I was someone on Team Reaper. I thought it'd be a lot more interesting to see the Reapers win this battle, but I wouldn't say I'm disappointed by the outcome of it, because I think Golden Sands, it looks really interesting right now with how it's being transformed after this battle. If you've gone there recently or you've watched like the videos I've done updating about what's going on there, there's been some massive changes to the outpost, and it just looks far better than it ever did, and it's probably going to become my favorite outpost in the game, replacing Plunder Outpost. Next at number 3 we have the Sirens Prize. Well, I think this one has the same issue as some other adventures where it takes a long time because you're sailing across the map doing a bunch of different stuff. I thought this one was cool in terms of going back down into the Siren Shrines, which I hadn't done since really they came out the year prior. So that was a nice experience of going back and doing that whole thing. I thought it was cool having the ancients involved with this storyline, and you have to find something in it and give it to them. You didn't actually have to complete the whole shrine, you just had to get to the point where you found that object that they're looking for. So that was kind of nice. You had the choice of if you wanted to just leave and bail and kind of speed run through the whole thing, or if you just wanted to finish each shrine and get the treasure that was involved with it. And then you have the final battle at the end where you see like the ancient one or something getting summoned. I'm not too sure what's going on with this storyline. I think we're going to pick up with that more in this year, but all of that was really cool to me. At number 2, we have A Hunter's Cry. This is the only adventure where we really go into a wholly unique place. So with this adventure, it comes after the Forsaken Hunter adventure, where Merrick has already been taken and he's trapped inside the Sea of the Dam, and we have to go in and rescue him from the Dark Brethren. What was cool about this adventure was we went into the Sea of the Dam and we were presented with basically a twisted version of the Sea Dog Tavern, which is really cool because I love the Sea Dog Tavern. I think it's a cool island in the game to explore, and to see like a dark twisted version of that was really interesting. I thought it was cool working with other teams and like scaling the tavern, getting up to the top and stuff, and saving Merrick. The cool cutscenes and seeing like the different characters interact on there was really interesting, with the Pirate Lord, Merrick, Wanda, Duke. All of that was really cool. And I think this one addresses a problem that I saw with the Shrouded Deep, where you have that collaborative nature, but you're not forced to find those other people yourself, because the game just automatically puts people that are doing the adventure together in that server. With that said though, there was issues with this adventure, and that's mainly with people just camping and just trying to ruin the adventure for other people. They purposely go into the Sea of the Dam to do this adventure, and then they just start killing anyone that was in there just for sport, basically. Now, I'm someone that really likes PvP, but I think there's certain limits to when PvP is appropriate and when you should just leave someone alone. I think those examples would be when they're doing a tall tale, when they're doing adventure, and if they don't have anything and it's like just someone minding their own business, not really doing anything. Maybe it's like, especially if it's like a kid or something, like sometimes I'll let my brother just hop on the game on my account, and he's literally just hanging out at Outpost, running around in circles with Odysseus, my parrot in the game, and he's just having a good time. But then you have some jerk come over and just try to ruin that for him, and then it pushes him away from the game, which kind of sucks because he's not doing anything. He's just, you know, chilling. So I think that was a big problem with the Hunter's Cry, and eventually Rare tried to do some things to fix that, but it got to the point where really it's just a flaw in the design itself, nothing they can really like patch out. But I do hope they do more adventures like this in the future, where we go into the Sea of the Dam or maybe some other mysterious area that we haven't seen before and have like a wholly unique place to explore, because I think that would be really cool. Finally, we're at number 1. And I'm sure if you're keeping track right now, you know which one I'm about to say, and that's the Return of the Dam adventure. This one, I think, does everything right. It's a community choice event, so the outcome of it can't be predicted, which is very exciting for these community choice events. Now, this one had us choose between saving Pendragon from being banished or helping to resurrect Flameheart. In the end, Flameheart got resurrected, and I'm happy about that because that's what side I was on. As much as I love Pendragon as a character, I think his story arc was completed by this adventure, and I think his storyline ended really well, especially with the Herald of the Flame adventure, and then following that with this adventure, Return of the Dam, where you have him basically kind of repent for his actions in previous storyline elements. He's kind of the one at fault for Flameheart being resurrected. You could say that we're at fault for it too, because technically we were the ones that helped him do all that, but he decided to take a lot of that blame, and he kind of just made a sacrifice to try to stop Flameheart from being resurrected, and it ended up with him being banished to the Sea of the Dam. I don't know if he'll come back in the future. I could see there being a way for him to come back, but I could also see Rare not wanting to diminish the significance of this event, so he might be gone forever. In terms of the actual gameplay of this, I really enjoyed how simple this adventure was. There was the main part of the adventure where basically you go to either Bell or the Servant of Flame, and they tell you like, hey, go to the seafort, raise our flag, and then get this little thing and bring it back to us. And that's very similar to how the Forts of the Forgotten adventure was, except this one is now 2 different groups instead of just 1 person that you're going to. But what I found really cool about this adventure was the little touches that were in this. So like at each of the forts, raising the flag at the top of the thing was a lot of fun, but there was also different scenarios that could happen. So if you go to a fort that's unclaimed, I believe it was just the regular phantoms that you'd see, and then you fight them and that's all good. If you go to a fort that was controlled by Flameheart's group, you got to fight the Reaper phantoms that we saw with the Lost Sands adventure. Or if it was controlled by Belle and Pendragon's side, you actually got to fight the Ancients instead. So I thought it was really cool how the different forts changed based on who controlled it, and I thought that made it a lot more interesting, and I just really like that little touch. I think little touches like that really go a long way to making it feel like this adventure is actually taking place in the game and not just, oh, I just did the storyline for an hour but really didn't do anything in the game. Whatever. I also felt like this one was a lot more fair than the Lost Sands adventure, whereas this one, it was more so who cashed in the most of the little like treasure things to their particular side and who raised the most flags at each of the different sea forts in the game. And I think that's a lot more fair. It's an easier way to track like who's winning, I think. So in general, I thought this adventure was fair. It did not take up too much time, and it was very fun to replay as well, which is good. And I just think the storyline was very interesting and all the little touches they did with it. But that is every adventure in Sea of Thieves ranked that we currently have. We have the next adventure coming up soon. Hopefully this video is out before it comes out, but if not, I'm sorry. If you haven't already, we got a bunch of other ranking videos on the channel. I'd definitely recommend going and check those out. But if you did enjoy this video, it'd be great if you would like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.